Okay, today's November 16th, 2015. We'll call to order this meeting of the Developmental Review Board. The first item of business is to review and approve the minutes from our last meeting, which was on October 19th, 2015. May I have a motion to do so?
So moved. Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I think you've all been here before, but just in case you have not, we do the same opening remarks every time, and this is to explain the rules and the way that the DRB operates. At the DRB, we hear applications for land development in the town of Brattleboro and appeals of zoning administrator decisions. Procedurally, the Developmental Review Board operates on the record. Broadly, this means that we take a clear record of testimony from the applicant and any interested parties, and then issue a written decision with our findings. Applicants and members of the public should be aware that as we are on the record, this is your opportunity and your only opportunity to comment on and provide evidence relating to an application. In the event our decision is appealed to the Environmental Court, the court will not take or consider additional testimony at its hearing, but will look at the evidence from our hearings, the regulations and laws, and determine if the evidence supports the findings and decision of this board. Only interested persons that participate in this proceeding may appeal a decision made by the board, so I strongly encourage all of you to speak up at this hearing. As we're on the record, we're going to ask that you affirm that your testimony be truthful. So would the applicants and anyone wishing to speak, please stand and raise your right hand. You repeat after me. I hereby swear, do you hereby swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in the cause under consideration will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Applicants require a majority vote of the full board to succeed. That's 4 votes out of 7. If we do not have a full board present to hear your application, then we will consider a request to continue your application to the next hearing. After taking testimony, the board will close the public hearing and may vote on your application. The board will issue a written decision within 45 days of the close of the hearing. While we may vote on an application, it is the written decision that controls the timeline for appeal. It should be noted that the town of Brattleboro is a party with an interest in land development applications. The town does not have a special status before this board. Documents provided to the board by the town planning department, town attorney, or other town departments will be considered in exactly the same way as information from the applicant and all other interested parties. Mr. Clerk, has this meeting been properly warned?
Yes, it has.
Okay. In the disclosure of conflicts of interest,
204 and 205, I do.
204 and 205.
205 I do, and because he's beginning 204, I would say I did by default.
Okay, I have an application in I have a conflict in application 220. So who wants to be the chair for that one? Who takes that one? Okay. Any other conflicts or ex parte communications? Okay, our first application is 2015-199, Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation. Mr. Stevens. Hello.
You should just leave that here.
Yeah, I should just don't. Okay, thank you. So, my name's Bob Stevens, representing BDCC. Stevens Associates, and this is the GS Precision project, of which we were before you a few months ago for 347 addition to get that started, and this is really the rest of the project. This is a, I'll see if I have this right. We are looking for site plan approval for lots 2B, we refer to the pond lot, for 101 John Sites Drive, for 347 John Sites Drive. We are asking for subdivision approval for 347 and 343 John Sites Drive, and then Act 250 local review for the two projects. This is an aerial map. I just wanted to point out for those that don't know where these projects are, you can't see a whole lot on this big blur, but this is Exit 1, the Exit 1 Industrial Park, and John Sites Drive is down at the lower, sort of at the bottom of the industrial park. There's a pond next to it, which is owned by BECC and Lot 2B. And then at the top of the hill, just before you get to Guilford, is 347. So that's the one we saw before, and I'm going to show you what's going on at both of those lots. So this is 101 John Sites Drive. And at the lower end, the pond is actually a detention pond for the Exit 1 Industrial Park. And then there's an undeveloped lot on the other side of the pond, that's Lot 2B, sitting here. And what's happening on 101 John Sites Drive is a 13,733 square foot addition onto that existing building. So this is a one-story manufacturing addition. It'll be a combination of some office space and sort of cafeteria space, and then industrial space, and sort of a reshuffling of their operation internally to that. This is to accommodate an expansion in their operation. They're buying a bunch of new equipment, and they're expecting to add about 100 jobs between this site and 347. So we have roughly, I would say, 50 or 60 new positions coming down here and 40 up top. So we also need additional parking. So in order, yeah.
Can I pause you for just a second here? I'm just trying to clarify for myself. You got three different addresses, 101, 343, and 347?
5 different addresses. So let me walk.
Because there's five different things here, and I was just trying to kind of connect the 5 of those to what you're describing. And
so there's three lots in this site, and then there's 2 up top.
Gotcha.
So this 3 is Lot 2B, which is over here. There's a lot all by itself, which is just going to have parking on it. There's the pond lot, which was owned by BDCC, but is sort of needed to connect the 2. And then this is 101 John Sites Drive. So those are the 3 lots on this site.
So, and just, could you connect that, just so we can all be clear? Like, there's three titled, starting with Brattleboro Development Credit Corp. with various things, and then 2 that are GSP Realty.
Yes.
I know they all tie together to what you're showing there, but so that we can check these off in order, can you help us identify which is which?
I can try.
Based on how the agenda has those laid out, do you see that?
Let me borrow the agenda. I don't know. Okay, so yeah, let me walk through by the agenda. So 343 John Sites Drive is actually at the top of the hill. So this is up at the top of the hill. 343 is what we refer to as the Cole Morgan property, which is this lot.
Gotcha.
Lot, the second item, which is this is lot 2B, which is the 59 parking spaces, is this lot on the other side of the pond.
Gotcha. That's up at the very top.
This is
that's at the very bottom, right?
At the very bottom, yeah.
And that pond, that's closest to Route 5? That's how that's oriented? That's the closest to Route 5 of all that right there?
Yeah, if you look at this is pond is right here. This is Route 5.
Yeah, right.
Exit 1. You come wooded lot, pond, and then 101. And you go all the way up the top of the hill for these 2.
For the others, right.
Yeah.
And you said 343 is the Cole Morgan building and 347 is the end building?
347, 343, 347.
Gotcha.
Those 2. Now let's see, the third one on here is 101, looks like it. So that's a request for site plan, pedestrian bridge. Oh, no, that's the pond lot, I guess, is the third one, BECC. GSP, this is, the fourth one is 347, which is the one at the top of the hill. And then the fifth one must be 101. Fifth one is this large lot on the bottom, 101.
So
That's
that
so
lot
they do
2B
jump back and forth.
is lot 2B next to where Dr. Shard used to be. Sort of.
Yeah, let me show you where Dr. Shard's place is. It's really back.
Way in back in there by the electric
Yeah,
place,
It
right?
does kind of connect if you go all the way through.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's sort of
Okay.
a wooded lot before you get to the pond is the way I think of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to keep that agenda so you can go in order of what we're looking at? Because we
Sure.
generally order our package of materials.
I'll look at yours.
Yeah.
So-
The first one's the right of way.
So let me start there then. We'll go back up the top of the hill. And what's happening here at 343 John Sites Drive, there is a new right-of-way being subdivided out of 343 and 347. So this is in the larger scheme of things, there's an undeveloped lot up at the top of the exit one, Familari and what's left of the hill. And when looking at how to get up there to develop that, we realized that the best route was actually between these two properties, was to bring a roadway up through and then traverse the topography and get up top to that hillside. So BDCC, as part of this project, is creating a new right-of-way to connect John Sites Drive with that, and that takes a little bit of land from 343, and it takes a little bit of land from 347. So at the moment, BDCC owns 343, and GS Precision Realty owns 347. And so we have a subdivision where we're going to carve a little chunk out of 343 and a little chunk out of 347 and add them into a new lot so that we can get a roadway up there in the
Gotcha.
future.
Got you, thank you.
So that's really the only thing is a subdivision on 343 that's related to this project.
Gotcha.
With one exception, and I'm going to take it by lot. This property, and I don't think this is part of jurisdiction in any way, but this property is going to be leasing parking spaces from 343. There's an upper lot and a lower lot. This building is not using this parking lot. And so GS Precision is going to lease all but 5 or 6 of these parking spaces to support the activities going on at 347. And we have a new sidewalk sort of connecting that lot over there.
Gotcha.
The new road will be under a grade of 10%?
The new road will, and at the moment, we're not, we haven't designed, actually we've designed it enough, don't know it'll fit, but we are waiting to come back as a future project, so at this point, we're just sort of doing a subdivision to reserve the ability to put that in.
Sure.
But it turns out that, I think through here, we're 3 or 4%, and then we're close to 10% as we traverse the hill to go to the top. But that's another project for another day.
Will there also be an easement for water, sewer, electric, telephone?
Yeah, all that will, sewer comes through here. Everything can fit within the right of way. The water's already up there. It turns out the water goes the back way. Here's a water, million-gallon water tanks here. There's a line that goes over to Guilford, so that's going to feed in from the top.
Okay.
But everything else will be able to come up that right of way.
Okay. I just want to, I want to try to chop this up into pieces so we can have appropriate motions for each little part.
Sure.
And those are all the questions I had specifically for the right-of-way for the future road,
That's for 199?
for 199. Does anybody have any questions?
How wide was that, the right of way gonna be?
It's 60 feet.
And will that be built to town specs for the premise of future?
Yeah.
Take over as part of that industrial park?
Probably. I would think so. It'll be.
And tie into drainage and all stuff, because I think they have drainage there, don't they?
Well, we have that pond we're going to get to in a minute is the detention pond for the
Okay,
campus.
right.
Which the town road feeds into that. This will in part use that pond, and it'll probably have its own stormwater system created
Gotcha.
when it's built.
Is it going to be meaningfully different in scale from the road that already winds up there?
Hopefully it'll be narrower. Yeah, the road that's there is wide enough to land a jet on.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah, it stems from an earlier era where we had wide roads. But it, it's intended to carry, tractor trailer industrial uses, so it'll be a wide road.
Okay.
not quite that way.
Any other questions relating only to 199, the right-of-way from the board?
I don't.
Are there any public comments relating to this proposed right-of-way? Hearing none from... You're allowed, you're public now, Craig. Hearing no comment, can I have a motion to approve application 2015-199?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, let's move to 200, Bob, which is the 59 space parking lot.
Okay, going back down the hill. So in order to accommodate the increased number of employees on 101, we've identified some land on Lot 2B, which is this application, to construct some additional parking. So this is 59 spaces. It's located in a way that is directly up gradient of the pond and sort of sweeps around wetlands. We spend a lot of time talking with the state's wetland coordinator to stay out of the wetlands, create buffers, to try to treat this water. The proposal is actually to have this all as pervious pavement, so there's no runoff effectively that goes into the pond, even though we created a little bit of buffer. And that's the extent of that project. There is some site lighting out there that will feed from this site across the bridge, and an access off of John Sykes Drive. So before we get to the lower lot, there'll be a new access which has very good sight distance out there to allow cars to park here and walk across.
If this pavement is not vacuumed, is it going to become impervious?
It may. The places that we've had it installed, people have not been that diligent about vacuuming and vacuuming. Ultimately, it can become impacted, and if somebody ever puts sand on it, it will. But you know, the place that I can think of, you know, it's a different type of pervious pavement, but that brick pavers down at the co-op, those are all pervious. Been down, I don't know how many years. I don't think they've vacuumed those yet. Renew has a parking lot out. Renew that's formerly Renew on Putney Road, has pervious pavements that they were using in their loading and shipping area. You know, that was up for a few years without any vacuuming. So the studies done by UNH do say that you have to do that eventually, but they perform exceptionally well. You know, what happens is that they actually work pretty well, and so far we haven't gone long enough to see it clogged up.
Is there any treatment of that stormwater besides it's running through the pavement and whatever's underneath?
Only the buffer. So what happens is that it's effectively the pervious pavement becomes a soil-based treatment. As it sinks down in, one of the things that you do is you design a gravel layer underneath that filters the water and then stores it into a reservoir to allow it time to sink into the ground. So the pavement is a little more expensive. The sub-basis is quite a bit more expensive to do that. And so effectively, that water will go through the ground before it gets into the pond. It's actually a very good treatment system, as long as it doesn't get blinded and run over the surface. If it should run over the surface, it'll have this grass area to run across before it hits the pond. Oddly enough, although and this does all slope towards the pond, this we think needs to be treated before it hits the pond, but from a regulatory standpoint, they were much more concerned about the wetlands than the pond, because the pond is man-made. I'm not sure why that makes a difference. But.
And are there any effects on the wetlands buffer area? And if so, what are you doing to mitigate that?
So this parking pavement is within the buffer area of this wetland and this wetland. The buffer is about 50 feet. We're probably, at the closest point, 10 feet. So we have a buffer impact that comes back into most of this area here. So those, again, there's a number of things that were done. One is that we have a guardrail constructed on these edges to keep from plowing snow into the wetlands, to keep a natural area. This is all down gradient of the wetlands. The wetlands are actually upslope. So none of the runoff goes towards that. And that was really the reason why we went to the pervious pavements, was to deal with stormwater and to deal with water falling against the wetland.
Are you going to be reseeding any of that area with the wetlands plant mix?
Not here, but they did ask us to reseed an area down in this quadrant. There's an area that had this wetland sort of notched out, and part of the negotiations, when we get to 101, you'll see that this is also impacting in the buffer, and this just seemed like a natural area that should have been wetland, so they asked us to restore that
Okay.
section as part of the mitigation.
So they being some representative of A&R?
Yeah,
Okay.
using natural resources.
And what's the lighting in the parking lot going to look like?
Shielded cutoff fixtures, and you can see them on the site plan. We've got half a dozen of them.
Less than 20 feet?
Less than 20, they should all be less than 20 feet.
And you can provide cut sheets?
Yeah, one condition to you, but you can.
Oh, you did?
I
Okay.
don't know.
Yeah, they're attached.
Are they in there?
Yeah, I saw them someplace.
Okay. Well, I mean, we'll just make it a condition as long as you got it. It's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, can you explain to me how the snow removal is gonna work there?
Yeah.
With-
Not easily. We have another drawing that shows, basically what they're gonna do is push them into piles and truck them out. So they gotta push them into piles on the pavement, and then, they don't have any snow storage to speak of. There's a few areas where outside the buffer that we could sort of pile, back in here, but it's not gonna last long, so they don't have a lot of snow storage. And we, knowing that, drawing a drawing and saying pile snow, do snow here, is not very effective as a guy in a plow truck. There's a reason that we went through that effort to put a guardrail up, just to figure it's a physical barrier, so that you can't really push it into the wetland.
And this is a real guardrail, just as you find on the road. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And it goes all the way around.
Yeah, if you see the site plan, it starts here. It's really between the pavement and the wetland. So there's one there and there's one out here. I don't think we put one on that edge, but it was where it seemed likely that people were going to push snow towards the wetland.
So at the top of the parking, there's no barrier, yes, there's no barrier there. There's
No.
guardrail there.
So they could push snow in this direction. That would be okay, because the wetlands are up gradient and they're quite a distance away. We're outside of the buffer there. And if the snow, it's all wooded though, so they're not going to push much into the woods. And if the snow melted, it would just come back into the pavement and melt before it. It's all heading this way back towards the pond. So actually, that's not a problem.
Other questions from board members? No?
Fire department asked about the turning radius for that curb cut there. From the drawing here, it looks pretty sharp.
We can make sure that the fire department and tanker trucks can get in there. I'm not sure what the radius is on that, but we'll look at the turning movements and make sure that, we'll make that a condition.
That's the only note they were concerned about.
Yeah.
That's the only thing
Yeah,
they,
we looked at it.
and
Drive
then,
their truck in.
it's hard to tell from the drawing.
Any other questions from the board?
Is the pedestrian bridge part of this application too?
The part of
No.
it is.
Next one.
That's,
It's in the pond lot, it does land on this lot, but it's mostly contained in the application for the lot that's
no, but
pond.
it's the next application specifically.
This actually is entirely in the pond lot. What is it, bound to?
I was just confused because it said, on the one describing it, it had said it had add curb cut for proposed parking lot on 2B. And that's 2B, right?
This is too big, yes.
So the curb cut's actually over on the pond lot, right?
It is on the pond lot.
Right,
Yeah, you're
gotcha.
right. Yeah. Versus back.
Perfect.
All set, Joe?
Yeah.
Anything else from the board? Any comments by members of the public? Okay, hearing none, could I have a motion to approve application 2015-200 with conditions requiring the applicant provide a cut sheet for the lighting and get the fire department's approval on the turning radius coming into the lot?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. The next application, this is the pedestrian bridge, 2015-201.
So that's for this parcel, which is what we refer to as the pond lot. It is the detention pond for the entire campus. This parcel does have the curb cut, as we just talked about, and a little retaining wall so we can do the earthwork, and then a pedestrian bridge that spans the pond. So it's a 100-foot span plank pedestrian bridge with guardrails so folks can walk from the parking lot over to this lot. And
Is there going to be a crosswalk where it meets the main lot?
there is, we're not showing the parking. We can add a striped crosswalk. There's no parking in that area, but it would be certainly prudent to do that. It's really the turnaround area for the truck loading dock in the building, so it's wide open as, from here to this sidewalk on the other side is wide open.
How wide's that bridge gonna be?
8 feet.
Let's see. It's 8 foot outside, so with the guardrail, it's about 6 foot clear. It's too small to drive a truck over. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, okay, so when you say guardrails, you mean safety rails on both sides?
Yeah, pedestrian guardrail, pedestrian rails so people can't fall into the pond.
And where those land on either side of the pond, how do they flange out in such a way that it protects someone from like just walking right on the edge of them into the water?
Yeah, I mean, you can always walk to the
Yeah,
water
right,
edge.
right, but I'm just saying, at the close point where they meet
There's a
there.
little bit of an abutment.
Yeah.
So those railings can continue. We actually haven't detailed that yet. But anytime, if there was certainly more than a 4 foot drop off that abutment, we'd have a protection by code. I don't think there will be. We're going to be pretty close to sitting in grade, maybe within a foot or two. Yeah.
It's going to be salted in the winter, presumably.
It's a plank. They'll have to shovel snow, so if they need to, but it's a wooden deck essentially going across
Okay.
there. And probably with some gaps. It's
Okay.
not unlike the co-op pedestrian bridge.
Sure.
If you think about that one.
So the stormwater is just going to sort of either run through it or sheet off it, right?
It'll go right through it. The little pavement areas on the walkway, we use pervious pavements there as well. We figured we're doing this much right next to the pond.
The same
But-
material as the lot?
The same material as a lot, but yeah, the bridge itself is just going to drop into the water.
Okay.
Yeah.
No way to mitigate that?
There really isn't. When you get the bridges, often that's the case.
And there's going to be lighting on the bridge as well? Or lighting at the end?
We showed lighting on the abutments. So our thought was we'd bring power over, we'd light the 2 abutments to bring people across and then light the parking lot.
It'll be similar to the parking lot lighting?
Same lights, yeah.
And you don't have any problem providing the cut sheets
No,
less than 20 feet?
less than 20 feet. Cut sheets, yeah.
Any other questions from members of the board?
I have a certain amount of concern that we're assured that that bridge is cleared in the winter because people have to go out onto the main road to get between one and the other if they don't.
Yeah. Well, GS Precision's parking will be over there just like the rest of their sidewalks, and they'll have to keep that clear. We wanted to design it as a pedestrian bridge, so it means a snow blower or something that you walk behind to clear the snow, not a
Don't
plow
have to
truck.
shovel.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't think they'd be shoveling.
Okay,
that.
because you mentioned shovel. in there.
Oh, yeah, no, I think they'll have mechanical equipment,
Good.
but we didn't want it wide enough to drive cars across, so it's narrow, so that it would need to be a snow blower, it would be a small tractor.
No plow.
No plow trucks, yeah, because then you'll have other cars using
Go with
it.
the tractor and a 5-foot blade.
Yeah, it's really sidewalk clearing kind of thing.
And the handrails will be up to code?
The handrails are, we refer to as park rails. So the Parks Service has a handrail for bridges. They're 42 inches high. It's a wood post, wood handrail. The openings are not as tight as they are for like building handrails on porches, but it's a standard that's used for kind of pedestrian bridges and these kinds of settings. So thought it was appropriate.
Anything else?
Do we need to also say something about the curb cut for this lot? Because the curb cut goes through this lot and the turning radius.
Curb cut for the bridge?
No, for the road coming in.
It turns out the boundary line is
Comes
here.
in off
So
of
that-
this lot
that
here.
curb cut on the
We got
ridge.
it on the, but that's on the other lot, so we get it on this one.
You thinking about requiring a right of way there, you mean? For the,
No, it'd be the same one that we had on for 2B, that the radius for the fire department,
Oh,
to
yeah,
be able to get through there.
sure, we can put that on here too. I mean, you're gonna have to satisfy.
Yeah, you gotta
the-
satisfy them.
Any other questions from members of the board? Any members of the public wish to speak to this? Hearing no further comments, could I please have a motion to approve application 2015-201 with conditions that there be a striped crosswalk connecting the building to the bridge in the main lot, that the applicant provide cut sheets to the zoning administrator, and that the entrance to the, that's I guess the northern lot, have a radius that the fire department approves for the use of its trucks.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. The next application is 2015-202. This is the request for approval to construct a water line, expand parking to add 40 employees, and to construct a plow turnaround at 347 John Sykes Drive.
So 347, back up at the top of the hill. The building was the previous application, which we are about to sort of advance construction on. This is the rest of the site work associated with 347. There's a new water line from the pump station into the building. This parking lot is actually there now. There's a gravel parking lot that's close, that's within the right of way, so we're tightening that up and paving this area here. And then we are constructing a few parking spaces off the loading dock back here, 8 new spaces there. And then reconfiguring the entrance to 343, as it turns out. Probably should have mentioned this, I don't know which, with whatever application, but we are sort of starting the beginning of that new road to be able to sort of sweep into 343. As I mentioned, some of the parking to support this facility is over in 343.
There are going to be some new lights in the parking lot, right?
There are some lights down the center. I believe that there are lights, 2 lights there now, so we're just sort of cleaning that up.
Under 20 feet LEDs,
Same things.
and you'll give us cut sheets?
Yep.
Okay. Where the new road is going to be, is there going to be some landscaping beside the road?
At the moment, it's all, and actually, at the moment, this is all paved. It's a big half circle. So we're taking some of that pavement out. There's some landscaping that exists here, but essentially, there's a swale that cuts through all the drainage from this lot, dumps out into a catch basin, runs down through, and then there's another culvert down into this area. So there isn't a lot of opportunity for landscaping other than sort of what's on that upper bank there now. We're not really showing anything, in part because I think you could probably put something on the bank in that area.
What about on the south side of the road, of the new road?
You're saying over here?
No, to your right, to your right side of
Yeah,
the
that
new
road
road.
there is pointing wrong.
Oh, maybe I'm reading the north arrow wrong. I
Well, that
thought,
north arrow shows it going this way, that's right.
oh, I should have said the north
So the
side.
north side. So this is 343, it's really the existing condition. Right now, there's a circle in the driveway that comes in like this, so we're not really changing anything in that area. Really what we're doing is taking pavement out, and there's some landscaping up on that bank now, although I don't recall.
Shrub or something?
Yeah, it's that existing pine tree that's there. It's like a couple of, yeah, there's a few shrubs in there. And then a ditch right on the edge of the road.
What about as you advance up the new road, not just at the corner?
Yeah, it's not clear by this, but this is full of shrubs now. This is all vegetated.
And those would be preserved?
Yeah, we're not touching any of that.
Are there any street trees as you go up?
Not to speak, I mean, it's kind of brush that's grown up, so there's nothing, and I think when that road gets built, I'm sorry to say, it'll all get wiped out, because they'll need to do a fair amount of opening up. There might be some larger trees in there, I don't, it's not surveyed in a way that I can tell. Yeah. Don't have any real images of the area. So right now, there's a gravel parking lot that goes to, whole boundary line is here. So right now, this is sort of gravel to this edge, and then beyond that is a combination of shrubs and maybe some trees that are starting to grow up. I'm not sure, I think this is probably the mature tree line, and since then there's sort of an undergrowth that's grown out into that area. There's some lawn area, but they don't really maintain that as lawn. It's kind of grown up. And there are some shrubs down in this area you can see sort of called out. They don't have a size on those shrubs on the
So
drawing.
you said the right of way is gonna be 60 feet. Will they develop the whole 60 feet? Will
When
they-
that gets built, the roadway will be a good chunk of that 60 feet, and then there's going to be drainage structures and other things going up through. But by the
Swales on
time,
both sides?
probably curves, I'm thinking, just because we don't have a lot of room there, and there's the grade drops off down to this. But by the time they get that built, there won't be much left that doesn't get cleared out in that area. Yeah. You have to go back and think about what that looks like afterwards. So we weren't thinking there was a whole lot of screening or, again, I guess the view corridor is probably the interstate looking into this lot. And effectively for this lot, I mean, the additions behind this building and the existing landscaping is staying intact. There may be, I think there's a tree we're replacing there, and there may be a tree in this area that we're taking out. The only thing I can think of, looks like we kept the tree on the end. So there really is no change to both the proposed work will visually have no change from what's there now, and it looks like we're not taking anything out that's significant in terms of landscaping in this project.
Now, the fire department had some comments regarding the sprinkler system. One was that you've got to submit your construction application to the Vermont Division of Fire Safety. I assume you're going to do that if you haven't yet.
Done, and we got the permit.
Oh, okay. And I don't know if they meant this as a question or what, based on the nature of application, but they said addition to have full sprinkler and fire alarm system, which I assume was, will the addition have a full sprinkler and fire alarm system?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question, with adding these jobs between this one and the other one, does GS Precision have any plan to stagger shift changes?
Yeah, they'd like to. Well, I should say, I think they're working on staffing. They have 2 shifts or 2.5 shifts now.
Yeah.
So they're trying to sort that out. But the peak parking demand that we're designing for is the shift change.
Because sometimes down at the lights by Price Chopper, their shift change will back up rather substantially there.
Do they occur at the same time as the high school and the hospital letting out?
Yeah,
I think it
unfortunately, so it's a can of worms.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking this, if there's a possibility of that.
Yeah, I think it's something that we can bring to them. I don't know whether they thought a whole lot about it, other than trying to get 3 shifts. Same thing happens at the hospital too. They start early enough to get a morning shift that gets done at 2:30 or 3, and there's 15 minutes of the day when the high school lets out at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
And same thing happens with GS, I'm sure. I
Yeah.
don't know when they start. I think the first shift starts at 7
Yeah,
here, so it's getting out about at the same time.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Avoid that street. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I go to Webb's now and then at that time, and
Yeah.
I try not to, is a better way to put
Right.
it.
Right. Yeah, it does jam up, although I think it clears out relatively, it is 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, if you get in that window, and a lot of that is that.
Further questions from the board on this application? Any I'm sorry.
Where's the plow turnaround exactly?
It looks like, and I didn't
It
realize
says
this
construct a
standing
plow
here,
turnaround.
the Public Works must have asked us to add a little turnaround on the end. So
More than
they're,
what there is there now in that giant circle?
yeah, well, we're taking the circle out. See, I thought they'd
All of
turn
it?
around here.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, we're kind of delineating these curb cuts a little better. Right now, they have a circle,
Gotcha.
and we were thinking they'd turn around in this stub, but I think they wanted their own that wasn't part of the driveway, so it looks like we're adding the second turnaround.
So that's part of 202 then, right?
That is,
Yes, it
it's
is.
in the road, so yeah.
Or part of the 347 with Act 40 employees and expanded parking in the water line.
That's right.
Where did you say that water line was coming in from?
It's coming in from the new pump station.
Gotcha.
Currently, there's a pump station in the building because there wasn't enough head from the tank. So the new pump station has enough capacity where they can get rid of that pump station completely. It is sprinkler now.
Further questions from members of the board?
Is this 202 we're on?
Yeah.
Just on 202. Any comments or questions from members of the public? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve application 2015-202 with the added condition requiring cut sheets for the lighting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 2015-203, application to construct a 13,733 square foot addition for manufacturing, adjust the parking layout, add 100 employees, install site lighting, make drainage improvements, add walkways, and create on-street parking.
So-
Sounds complex.
Yeah, this is 101 Downsides Drive, a new addition, 13,000 square foot addition out here. There is some new sidewalks around that addition. We are adding handicap parking spaces in the front as the most proximate location to the entrance. The parking layout doesn't change a whole lot. We're sort of cleaning up this outside edge. There's a little bit of pavement being removed down in this corner by the pond, and we sort of tightened up that parking out there. We did add 12 spaces in back of the building. Those spaces are within that wetland buffer, so in order to mitigate any impact from that, there's a curb, there's a guardrail, there's plantings. The water runs along the curb and then goes into a treatment swale that gets treated before it drops directly into the pond. So that gets cleaned up, and that new water gets cleaned up and treated before that goes through there. I think we're adding an island and a light out in the middle of this. And then we're adding some parking along the street. So we started by saying that this is an extremely wide street out there, and we're asking for the ability to take 8 feet of that and add some parking spaces on the outside. They're on the outside because we need a sight distance to leave here, and cars on the inside of that curb will block the sight distance. There is a 3-foot wide sidewalk that also gets added on the street opposite the parking, so pedestrians have the ability to walk down the sidewalk and then cross to get to the front entrance. That parking and that sidewalk is something that GS Precision feels that they won't need right away. They'd like the ability to do this, and they're asking if that can be effectively an option to put that in should they need it going forward. It's basically a little bit of an overflow. They think they can meet their needs without that, but if in fact they start to have congestion issues, we'd like to be able to add that in the future.
What's the total number, if GS Precision did in fact exercise their right to use those spots, what would the total number of additional spots be?
You should know off the top of my head, 59, 12, 60, 71, plus 13, 23. We have a table, I'm not sure if we put that in. 71 plus 23.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Looked at it, so it's about 97 new spaces.
Okay. So it roughly corresponds with the amount of new employees.
We have some of them going up the hill. So-
Oh, I see.
And we've lost some parking. We've lost some parking with the handicap spaces that don't exist here. We've lost some parking in where the additions come out. So I think the net is about 60 on this site, all in.
Okay.
About 60 spaces.
And that roughly corresponds with maximum number of new employees, provided everything goes as GS Precision expects it will.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so I think their intent is to have the ability to add that, but they're gonna build this first, get the building done, and then as they add employees, if they find that they're starting to run out of parking, then they'll go back and strike and do the improvements in the road. And
You have under 20-foot new lighting that you can provide us cut sheets for that's LED?
we do.
That sidewalk, it's, did you say 3 feet?
Yeah, it's narrow.
Seems like someone made a comment of, was the fire department or what about that being pretty narrow?
It is
I think
narrow.
They were kind of, they thought 4 or 5 would be better.
Yeah, the trouble is that
How wide's the other one, the bridge one?
that's 6 feet clear.
Gotcha.
Normally, we put a 5-foot walk-in, because you need 5 feet if you're passing somebody, going both ways. We were trying not to, there's a guardrail along this edge of the roadway, and so we don't quite have enough room to put 5 feet without getting the roadway narrower than we'd like. We wanted to keep a 24-foot wide, clear, traveled way. And we were thinking that because this is really commuter traffic, and it's just a pedestrian safety issue to get up off the curb, and they're probably only going one way at a time, that the 3 feet would be adequate for providing that measure, and then not having to get into really these steep slopes and moving the guardrail out, sort of like 2 feet. So
Is
that's
that a
the
town
reason.
road right there?
It is, yeah. Yeah, so
So
technically.
you're asking to create new parking on the town road essentially.
Yeah, on-street parking.
Will there be meters?
That's a thought.
So does that have
I
to
don't
go
pay for the
to,
sidewalk,
does that
right?
have to go to select board? That must have to go to select board, right?
I believe, we need to talk to Bob Fisher. I think that they have to designate areas where there's on-street parking.
Right.
So, and I know Public Works has looked at this with us, and they were okay, but they may need to change, the ordinance may need to change to allow this to happen.
Did you speak with Public Works at all about your plan for
Yeah.
the?
Yeah.
What was their response to your proposal?
My staff has met with them several times, I guess, which is, so they were okay with this. I'm sorry, I wasn't part of those conversations, but I know that we met over that, and that's the reason too for the turnaround at the top of the hill. So.
Are you comfortable conditioning the approval of that element on Public Works signing
Sure.
off on it?
Yeah.
Are you putting any electric chargers at any of this parking?
We haven't, but we can. We intended to make sure that we had the ability to add them, so we've got wiring out there, we'll have conduits out there, so we can put them in if you know what to put in. But we'll definitely have the provision for electric charging stations. Certainly out here, and I would think I can be able to do it out here. I'm doing new lighting out in this area. The rest of this parking lot is just existing. We're probably going to trench across with a conduit. So yeah, we could probably add some out on that edge. I'm sure we can do something here too. Yeah.
I tend to be concerned about snow removal a lot. It just seems to me in the, what is it, south end of the building now, that parking lot there,
Yeah.
it'd be awful easy to pile snow out of the back end of that.
Yeah, yeah, and that may be, again, they're probably gonna have a mountain of snow that they didn't have to cart out. Because there's no real, again, we added guardrails here, you don't have any snow storage space. This is, by the way, the current condition is it's paved to here now. We're just adding the 18 feet of pavement. So this is actually the driveway that goes all the way back to that location. Back there. So it is true, they don't have a lot of room for pushing snow around on this site, but it's almost, actually, all of this, other than that 12 spaces, that's existing pavement. So it's all existing parking lot. Yeah, and in fact, in somewhere, we're pulling the parking away there. So they've been dealing with that for a while.
What would be the effect of putting another foot on that sidewalk, Bob?
Well, you have a couple of choices. If you take it out of the road width, you're down to 23 feet of road width. Even a foot going the other way, this is a very steep slope with guardrails at the top. So a foot would mean that you'd have to reposition the guardrail further out over the bank and or redo the bank as well, because the guardrail has to sit, it drops so steeply after the guardrail. So effectively, you're into some kind of reconstruction of this entire bank and guardrail along that length. So it was a pretty significant foot. And I really just wanted to butt it up against the guardrail posts. And, yeah, our first choice would have been to have a wider sidewalk, but not easily done. And I don't quite know how steep, that bank gets pretty steep as you go up the hill through there, whether you can even grade it out.
George, are you thinking of perhaps proposing a condition that there not be more than temporary snow storage in the new 12 spaces? Is it 12 spaces down there?
Yeah, I'd like to do something like that.
To what?
A condition that any snow storage adjacent to the new 12 spaces down by the wetland there be only temporary.
Right, no, I think all of it's temporary, because they need the spaces. So my understanding is they would push the pile, and then they would load and truck.
Okay.
So they may have a pile here, they'll have piles all over the place.
So that specific condition would really have no effect on there.
Yeah, they can't afford to not have those parking
You would be
spaces.
pleased?
Yeah, no, they have, they use.
I don't know about please, but satisfied.
Yeah,
Satisfied.
yeah, they need all of these.
What's on the other side of the road? Is that?
Here?
Yes. Is that their
interstate.
property?
No, this is the interstate. So when you,
How about after you come up around the corner? I'm thinking of the sidewalk.
Oh.
The other side of the road.
oh, I see. On this side,
Yeah.
well, so we're right tight to the boundary line in some places. There may be some flat land on the edge, but it does different things. There's drainage swales on that side. And we're thinking that folks, because they're heading in this direction, are going to immediately cross the road. And sort of it's the kind of, to go on this side and then cross is probably less likely, we think, than to have it on this side. It's just the width. But it's not uncommon for us to use 3 feet widths, particularly, where we're trying to not, if it's a public sidewalk, we'd be 4 or 5, but 3 feet's not uncommon, and then there's plenty of public sidewalk around that too. And the ADA code is 30 inches, so 3 feet gives you enough room, you can roll a wheelchair, you just can't crawl. You have 2 wheelchairs coming, you can't get by, but we don't think that's a condition that's going to happen.
You don't think you need a passing lane or?
Yeah, I don't
Turn
think
out or
so.
something?
Yeah, I don't think so. And although people do walk up and down that road now, and this would be a little nicer when they walk.
It's a pretty fast moving road, actually.
It is, yeah. That's part of the reason why bringing, adding some cars out there will slow things down a little bit. You're driving down a road that's 30 feet wide, you feel like you can go fast, particularly down the hill.
Any other questions or comments by members of the board? Any comments by members of the public? Hearing none, I propose a motion to approve application 2015-203 with the conditions that the applicant provide cut sheets, that the applicant obtained from the Department of Public Works a letter indicating the approval of the on-street parking, that any snow storage in the 12-space lot adjacent to the wetland be temporary, and we'll define that as under 10 days, George? That sound all right? Is that problematic for the applicant, you think? And that's all I have.
So moved.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
I think you're all set. Thanks.
Is there any of this things we need separately for the Act 250 review? I know that that's a form we fill out and then I need to submit something, so it's just.
I think the findings are just going to be based on what your application put in, Bob, and then some comments from the town memo.
Okay. Great, yeah, we're trying to process that this week as well, so that'll be very convenient. So thank you.
Thanks. As soon as Mr. Stevens is cleared out, the next application is going to be 2015-204 E&C Properties at 55 Black Mountain Road. Is that you, E&C Properties?
Yes, it is.
Okay, no, that's all right, you're up.
Is he sworn?
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna have to swear you in, okay, Mr. Brunel?
Yes.
Okay. Just, I'm gonna wait until you're over by the microphone.
Okay.
You raise your right hand for me? You hereby swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in the cause under consideration will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so can you tell us who you are and a little bit about your project?
Yep. I'm John Brunel, and I'm the builder that's working with the owners of the property to help them develop it. And right now, I don't know if you guys had a chance to go up to the property, but it's a small little greenhouse that's been kind of dilapidated and gone down.
This is the one to the west of the new storage unit
Yes.
proposal?
Yes,
Okay.
the back one.
Is that abandoned?
Yeah, well, no, it wasn't abandoned, the people just lived there, and I don't know if they moved out and then they sold it to my daughter and son-in-law, and they're building it.
Okay, okay.
So what they're hoping to get out of it is a couple of retail stores in the bottom, small ones. It's already a really quite a small building lot. So we're trying to get two small, probably they'll net about 1,000 square foot each of the stores, retail stores on the first floor, and then 4 apartments above.
As a basic clarification, we have 2 different numbers for the size of the lot. One of them is 9,020 square feet, but the town, I think your application says 9,020,
Yep.
and the town record says 8,712. I was just curious how you got the 9,020 and...
It was a guy in my office, sorry about that. I think he's pretty good, I think he probably did it right to the inch, but, you know, it might be, there's a 200 square foot discrepancy, it sounds like, which
Yeah.
is fairly easy to make. I would say his is probably accurate, but we could.
Do you know, did he actually go out there with a tape or a laser?
Oh,
or
yeah, we
something?
did. And there's pins, and there's,
Okay.
we actually plotted all of this exactly, we even had a surveyor when we first bought it.
Okay, so
He said, you don't have to pay me, the pins are all there,
I see.
so it was
I see.
easy.
So the 9,00020 is based on your fellow's
Absolutely, yeah.
calculation, which is
Yeah.
based on these pins
Yeah.
and his measuring them.
Yep, exactly, yep.
I mean, the town can make a mistake too, you never know.
Now, a couple of things I can bring up is, the reason we're trying to get this large of a building onto this site. Well, let me start off with how it's, and the reason we're coming for a variance. The house is already 4 feet from the property line, the existing house. When we originally were gonna purchase the property and they asked me for advice, I went there and I said, well, you can grandfather that in and build off from that. Keep it on the right-hand side. And actually, we came up with a plan for the same thing as this without needing a variance. And I called, but it required the driveway to be on the uphill side. So I called the town, I met with them on the driveway deal. And I was working with them a lot with my Black Mountain project, so we went down together, no problem. You're gonna have to put a culvert in, give us a drawing, drop it off. So I drew up a full set of drawings, had everything ready, dropped off a curb cut permit just before I was gonna come down and see you guys, get the blessings of everybody. And he really wasn't the driveway guy. He was a curb cut guy. He was, you know, a veteran there, but he gave it to some curb cut people and they thought it was too close to 91. Brian went up and helped, and they're all right, you know, I met them and they're like, it's within a few feet of what you need like 150 feet, it was like 125 or something. They said, if you had it on your other side of the property, it'd be better for us, or they really wanted us, they pretty much said you gotta put it over there. So I said, well, that's okay, now I'll have to go for variance now because I need a little wider lot than I got, because now I gotta put my driveway here. So whether we would have bought it or not, if we had known that in the beginning, is our fault, I guess, for not going deeper, but I assumed I was talking to the curb cut guy when I met him there, but that's okay, it happened. So the reason we need to do this is, very, very expensive to develop now in Brattleboro or anywhere around here in the Northeast, especially with all the permitting, power, the fill, the gravel, conforming to handicap, all that stuff. It's astronomical. And if you don't jam in as much as you can and get as much out of the lot as you can, it's not worth doing. And then you get all these lots all over town that are empty because people can only do one floor, or they can only do, they can only use the center of their lot and want more stuff. So that's one thing. That's why we tried to stick with this size. Anything smaller than 1,000 square foot apartment is going to be tough to rent out to anybody. And so they are going to gear this towards older people. There's an elevator going to be in it to get them up to the second, third floors. Maybe some SIT people, but that's it. It's not really a family kind of place, with yards and
Sure.
kids out in the road. And my wife and I are doing the Black Mountain project. We have a lot of overflow that would love to move in a brand new apartment right down the road with covered parking and an elevator. So they already basically got all 4 apartments taken care of with older people. So that's why we weren't too worried about any real recreation space. So those were the biggest problems we had, was we wanted to conform to the town's request on the driveway and move it, and then ask for the variance because of it.
Now, I see you have a plan. I don't
Yeah.
think we got it.
Did you? I usually turn my own stuff in, but I didn't turn this in. Did you guys get this plan?
We got, this is what we got.
Yes, it's the same thing. But you should have had a 24 by 36. You're welcome to take that. I have an extra. And I could show you the elevation too on it. I may tweak this a little because I don't know if you've seen a lot of my buildings down. They're all really pretty, and this is going to show money. That's the other thing. When you want these developers to develop, you want them to do it good quality, something that looks nice that Brattleboro can be proud of. You don't want them coming in there and building something hokey. So from the Putney Road, you'll have the storage units probably out in front. That's what you go with, which is perfect neighbors. We see over the top. It retains the view to the mountain. It's beautiful for us with the storage. So this building, although it sits way back in the corner, it's really not that big. It's 2,400 square foot.
Do you have a plot plan of the?
Yes, right here. Right here. That is it.
the-
That's the plot plan. That's the site plan,
So
plot
this
plan.
is-
It's really tight in its lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, there's not a lot you can do with, when you flip it over.
Is there no landscaping in there? Is that why there's no landscaping on the,
Well, no, we'll put landscaping, we'll put probably one shielded downlight on the front. I think mainly he just missed it, but,
that would be out here?
no, I think probably on this corner.
Okay.
Might have to be here, but it's a pretty small area. You can see it's
Right.
only 4 cars. And if you have a downlight there, I think you'd probably do the whole thing. We could put a little street lamp there if we need to. You know what I do is, and you'll see in the next one what I do, I get an illumination schedule, so you'll be able to tell how much I need. Color mix would do it.
So the parking lot, the parking is all in front?
Yeah, it's pretty much like everything else up on Putney Road, all of those, all the Brattleboro North, Hannaford's, VFW, everybody, all of them now putting their house in the front, so I assume you want it in front, but also, because of the narrow lot, we can't get around the back. And there's a cemetery here on the back of it, and all they really got is slope right, so I have no problem with that, I just put it works perfectly, that's the exact height, the ground will stay the same. I'm sure, if they had any problem, they'd be down here, but it's kind of there's nobody living around there that this could bother.
No handicap spaces?
Well, these are all handicap covered and,
Oh, okay.
Go right into a lift.
So those are the north side
Yeah,
spaces
right here.
are all handicapped?
Yeah, south. This is Black Mountain Road, right here. Black Mountain Road.
Yeah, isn't
Right
that the
here.
north side of Black Mountain Road, or am I crazy?
Oh, I thought you meant north side of the building.
No,
Oh,
no.
south side of the building.
No, I meant the north side of
It's
the
the north
lot.
side of Black Mountain Road, right, but
Right,
it's the
right.
south side of the lot. The lot is here, and this is the north side.
I meant the north side
Okay.
of the parking
Oh,
lot.
oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
All right.
I don't mean to be difficult.
No, me neither, I'm just,
North side parking lot.
so really from
So
the
you're
road,
gonna have
it only
your-
looks 2 stories, excuse me. From out at the road, it looks 2, maybe 2.5 stories with a hip roof, so it doesn't look like this giant building, you know, you keep it squatty. Proportionally, it'd be a nice looking building back. Excuse me, what were you gonna say?
So you only have how many parking spaces?
Oh, there's 8 of them altogether, and I think it's 1.5 per house, and then 1 for each of these small retail things would probably be more of online people that may need a display. We have one girl that sells cards that's thinking about renting one, but she sells more of them online, but keeps a display going. There's another girl that wants to sell dresses out of one of them. You know, very little traffic. Don't know exactly, but I think that's, and all it is there'd be a little small sign out here, wouldn't even need to be that big. Little signs on the building, they come in, park, walk right to come into right off Putney Road. So it looks like storefront from Putney Road, right down here. You come right down, you go into one store or the other.
So the required number of spaces is 15
For what?
for what you've got in the building. I assume the reason that there are only 8 is because that's the maximum you could possibly fit there, right?
Yeah, why would you need 15? I thought they only wanted 1 per apartment, 1 per apartment. And
There's 5 for the dwelling and then 2,
It's 1 space for every 250 square
Yeah.
feet of retail.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's 1 space for every 250? So
Yeah.
that means I would need 8 spaces or something like that.
10. Well, according to my memo, they
Yeah,
said.
about like that. So I'd be better off, maybe better off going back to apartments on the first floor? What is required for apartments?
If it was if it was, how many units?
6.
It would be 6 total units?
Yeah.
So then it would be 8 spaces, right, Brian?
Yep. Hey,
So one restriction I've got is parking, and I don't know if that's a waiverable thing.
It is waivable, but you've got to explain why the reduction in parking isn't going to cause a problem.
Well, like I said, the people that are going to be living upstairs here will only be given 1 parking place, I would imagine. Probably there'll be 1 or 2 open at all times.
So you'd limit, you've got 4 dwellings as it is, right?
Yeah,
So you'd limit each dwelling to 1 space,
I could.
and then the other 4 would be for the business.
Yep. And any overflow, they could use at night or whatever. It wouldn't be a night business, it'd be just, during the day. So I could say, hey, if you want to put your car, if you have an extra car, which I don't think these people are going to, but they could always put it there at night, but not during the day or something. We could work something out. I think this business here is almost exclusively online. I think, nobody walks in and really buys cards from this girl, most of it's online.
How big are those storefronts gonna be each?
The storefront would probably be about,
I mean, how big are the spaces?
less than 1,000.
Yeah.
Less than 1,000.
Each.
Yeah.
But you will have employees.
Well, just the 1 person running the store. Never be more than that.
And at the-
And they could walk. I mean, there's public parking all over the Putney Road. They could walk up there. It's not a.
And at the moment, you don't know what's going to be in the other retail space.
No,
right?
no,
Right.
I'm just thinking to keep it open. It's small. I mean, it might even be an office. I don't know if that's part of the allowances, but.
What would change if it was office space rather than retail space, Brian?
I think it's the same parking requirement.
1 by 250?
I believe so, yes.
where do the pedestrians walk? Is this a walkway here?
Yeah, it's right down here, slope down.
So where it's marked slope down there?
Yeah, they start walking.
Is that gonna be a little paved walkway or
Yeah, well,
pavers or
just to
something?
make it impervious, we might do some kind of impervious grass or something like that down through there.
Okay.
Gravel, something like that. Maybe like,
So the fire department, I think has the same problem that I have, which is looking at this diagram, and I don't really understand how the traffic flow is gonna go. And I think they're worried that they're not gonna be able to, get a fire truck.
I wouldn't have any problem going down and talking to those guys. I was down there talking about my other project, but they got no issues with fire truck. Even if the parking lot's full, they can drive the fire truck right in there, and their hoses are way longer than that, and they need to be within 300 or 400 feet of something. But they wouldn't have any problem with that. There's real big access from the cemetery. You can drive in it right to the back of the building. I mean, even...
Well, I think they're saying, if I understand the memo from them, they don't understand how the traffic flow is gonna go based on this little diagram.
Oh, okay.
And to be honest with you, I don't either.
Well, let me just show you real quick then. And I'll clear it up for you. What's your name?
Pasagawa.
Oh, Pascal, nice to meet you. This is what I would picture, okay? You're driving down the road, you come in, you pull in here, pull in here, you pull in here. These are typical. You back out, drive out, you back here, drive out. These people can back out, drive out. Every one is perfect. It's just like Super Place or Hannaford's or whatever we got now. Just the exact same thing. Comes right out the front. And this is the same height as the road, so it's really level. So it's maybe a tiny bit higher, so it goes, the water comes out, goes into the culvert down the road. So it's perfect. You come right in a flat level, nice paved area. So if there was cars in every single one of these and a fire broke out, they would be able to come in, park right here, come in, park right here, come into this lot. There's a road that goes right to, no, more like right here. You go in, the first one down. I wouldn't be surprised if they could come in on the lower part across the field if they had to too. It's all flat down in there. So I'm pretty sure if I brought them up there and I see what the point, they don't understand where the cars are coming or where they be parked, but I think they'd probably say that's reasonable. That's they could park a truck here, one there, and one there. I think they probably feel comfortable, but certainly we can talk to them.
Is it gonna be sprinkled?
If it's required, it will be. If it's not, it's obviously going to be Vermont Public Safety code. You know, you gotta have that, even one practice. So if they tell me it's gotta be sprinkled, it'll be sprinkled. Excuse me?
Knox box?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen with stormwater from the parking lot?
Yeah. Stormwater from the parking lot. Right now, it all comes right down here. There's a swale right down along here, comes right across here. We'll put a culvert in right there, bridge across here. And this will be graded just right up with that swale. So it'll go right down that surface swale with everything else like it always does.
Does it go into a ditch on the side of the road there?
Yeah. Just do a small swale there.
Okay, and that's already there?
It's already there, and it's already taking the same amount of water. I mean, it all goes out there now. And everything from, this is a hip, so everything from here is gonna go right out into the town one, which is designed to take a heck of a lot more water than that. And all these sides and back here, the little bit that goes this way and this way can be absorbed right here. It's all sand. So it's kind of covered. It goes out into here, down, this goes back here.
We just approved an application for your eastern neighbor, and we require that he put sidewalk coming up. Is there room here to continue that
Sure,
sidewalk?
love to. I'd absolutely love to. We got no problem with that. Continuing it right by. This here on the plan is probably 5 or 6 feet right there. So we can put a rail there, we can continue, stripe it there.
And it wouldn't
We'll do
affect your stormwater
No,
system?
No, not at all. No.
And you can
You
put
just curve it right here.
and you can stripe the entrance too?
Yep, yep.
So where are you gonna put the landscaping?
Well, all of these areas all around lend themselves to a beautiful, all in here. I would say we definitely put some trees in the front there and all in the side here. We can put some right there in a planter. We're really kind of good at doing landscaping and the aesthetics of a building. Our company is. We've built a whole bunch in town. Just did the Country Deli, which Bob Stevens designed, but we did the landscaping of it. We did the landscaping at the plaza, the Hannaford's, or the Staples Plaza. So we're really pretty good at that. We want this to look beautiful. So I'd say we'd have some trees along here and out here and some green stuff. So in the wintertime, it didn't look like the trees of death. You know, there'd be some green and some deciduous.
Would you be okay with submitting a landscape plan?
Yeah,
as already
absolutely.
illustrated?
A landscape and a lighting plan.
Okay. You're a step ahead of me.
Well, I personally have some real concerns about the amount that you want to put on this small lot.
Yep.
I can't see how the 4 apartments and 2 retail spaces, assuming just 1 car per retail space, people that work there, that's 2 parking spaces.
Yep.
4 apartments, those 4 are filled. If one of the apartments has another car, has a second car,
They won't be able to sign a lease with a second car. We'll just
What
say.
about guest parking?
But they'll have to park the next door. There's public parking all over the place on Putney Road. That's an easy thing to put in a lease.
well, if I was an elderly person, for instance, that would bother me.
Well, that's
That's a
a
law.
chance we gotta take. I mean, if we can't rent them, but I'm quite sure that's not an issue.
It just seems to me that this spot would be better used for something that wasn't quite as extensive.
Now, you know that
Maybe-
all around it is vast, so this will look quite small. It won't look, huge sitting in its setting. Aesthetically, it'll look pretty good. I mean, you want something in there that looks good. So, Brattleboro, we're trying to make that corridor up there look beautiful. You know?
If it was something half this size, it would look good and you could make it work, I think, more easily. I mean, that's what's going through my head. I'm just
And I'd
thinking
love to
about-
do that. I'd love to suggest to them to do that. There's a problem with that, though. You can't make the numbers work. The income won't support it for 1,000 years. So in that case, it sits there, and then the house sits there. Years go by and it sits there. He's like, wow, we can't do nothing that's going to pay us enough. And then it's like, geez, all that tax money goes, all that people see that grown-in, dilapidated house for 10 more years. It just seems like a real nice building, would certainly fit back in there. A lot of big trees up there will tower over it. I mean, when you look back, you're just gonna see like a little building tucked back in there. I don't think it's only 2.5 stories tall. Any smaller, it'd be tiny.
I think it might be constructive for us to have a deliberative session. Do the members of the board agree with me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let's have a motion to go to deliberative session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? We're going to take a brief break here, go into deliberative session. I expect we'll be back within 10 minutes. Okay, it's 8:30, we're back on the record. We went into deliberative session in this application 2015-205, and the feeling of the DRB was unanimous that the parking situation is concerning. And we had a number of concerns about the rest of this application that you addressed very well. And the suggestion from all of us is that to get this application approved, that you move to continue at one meeting, and instead of having it be retail space on the bottom floor, have the whole thing be residential. And then the parking falls within the standards under the present zoning. And I can represent to you that the 5 people on this board are prepared to tell you they'd approve it under those circumstances. It would be helpful if you're okay with this to indicate in the new application that you'll condition it on fire department approval, that you'll submit landscape and lighting plans for approval by the zoning administrator, that the north side of the parking lot will all be handicapped and there will be a stripe to the entrance, that the sidewalk would be continued from the east to the west from the adjacent lot.
Landscaping plan.
I thought,
Say that?
maybe I said that.
Oh, okay, I missed it, sorry.
So we would make those conditions either way, but if it's in the application, it's more helpful for the planning department as they review your application and prepare a memo for us.
Yep.
That helps them address the site plan issues.
Yep.
And the more detail you could put, if it's not too much trouble to put it on an engineering plan, that would also be very helpful.
What's that?
Where the crosswalk's going to be.
Oh, yeah,
the-
yeah, we'll put it on the site plan.
Any additional stuff
Yep.
you can get on there would be helpful.
Yeah. Now, what about considering maybe a small retail and one apartment on the first floor? Would that work, or does that still put us out of range? Just in case the people ask.
You'd be out of range. That doesn't mean we couldn't approve it. We didn't actually talk about that, but based on the concerns of the parking, about the parking, I'd say the members of DRB are still concerned even with the all residential. And
Okay.
I'm not, I can't
Okay.
tell you,
Okay.
they'd be comfortable with that.
No, that's all right.
So if you're comfortable with that, what you should do is ask us to continue your application.
Okay.
Is that all right?
I would
with
like
you?
to do, yeah, and I'll
Okay.
come back,
So
I'll change it.
we'll hear a motion to continue application 2015-204 for one meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and is there any discussion? Okay, and
With those conditions.
just to be clear, we're going to allow the applicant to make these amendments, which are not really going to change the site plan. It's just going to add a higher degree of specificity, and it's going to be a modest change of the proportion of use. And we don't consider that something that needs to be rewarned. So that being, or it'll be rewarned just like everything else. But so that being said, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Burnett.
Okay, thank you guys.
And you can take this. I think my package was just missing something because
Okay.
everybody else did have this.
Okay.
The next application is application 2015-2020, the Delta Epsilon group, if you folks could come up.
No.
Did I skip one?
No, John's still here.
Oh, excuse me, you've got one for Black Mountain.
But I don't know, am I next?
You are next, you
Yep.
are next. It's just,
Okay.
you're split between the two pages,
Oh, okay.
and I didn't notice.
So you guys can each take a lighting and a landscape plan. We didn't have them ready at the time, but these are just a schedule, off the lighting for the proposing. And I'll give somebody the other copies for the board. Landscaping plan.
Thank you.
Here's your two big copies.
Okay, so this is application 2015-205 Black Mountain Estates LLC. Can you tell us about this project?
Yeah, have any of you had a chance to drive through there lately?
I have. Looks nice.
Thank you. Thank you. We've got all 33 buildings up that we originally were permitted for. They're all shell erected. 50% are finished inside with occupants. I think number 15 is moving in tomorrow morning. And then every 2 weeks until, well, there's 24 signed up for the 30 units. And every one of them is supposed to be turned over every 2 weeks from now until June. So we're moving pretty fast up there. There's been a big demand, and then people have been able to sell their homes, and they're trying to get in sooner. And so we're really pushing it. But it's been expensive. I mean, you just drive through there, you can see what kind of costs went into this place. To make it right, to do it all right, to conform to all the town, state stuff, make it last and make people want to live there, gets expensive. And so we weren't sure how much fill would be left over when we were done pushing things around. But we always had the idea if there was any fill left over, we'd do something with it. So we actually have room to put in 4 additional units up on the top level, and then a pool and possibly indoor pool house for the recreation for the tenants. So those are the 2 things we're for tonight. We're trying to add into our PUD or PRD permit to put the 4 on top. Now, I have to go all through the State Act 250 also. And it's basically just like from day one. It's all the stormwater stuff, all the wastewater stuff, all of the different forms. So that's going to be, we're in the process now. We're doing them both at the same time, but they're going to require quite a bit of stuff, like they did before.
Where's the parking area that's on the north side of Buttonwood Drive?
I'm going to grab a little picture here too for you. Okay, so where is the parking on the, what was the question?
On the north side of Buttonwood. There's currently a little parking area there?
On the way up the driveway here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually extended that. Here's an aerial photo. Here's a couple other ones. These are older. Let me try to get
Is this the right direction?
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's almost an exact thing.
Oh, okay.
So you just asked about right here.
Right.
I put parking there because we've had a party already with 80 people.
Uh-huh.
And we had 10, 12 spots here. So we put these spots here. And then, of course, the road is full width, so you can park along the road, too. So it worked fine. It didn't even,
What happens to the stormwater from that area on the north side of Buttonwood?
right here?
Yeah.
Oh, it just goes into there. Same thing.
That's retention?
Yeah, those are all, yeah, there's a huge system here. There's a big pond here, it doesn't really show too much. It would in one of your plans here.
This.
Yeah, huge pond there, where it grabs this water. But all these come down, these 3 to break the water coming down the road here,
Yeah.
then they come out down.
And those can handle the new stormwater?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's all been reshot, reapproved, and all that stuff.
Okay.
We've been working with Act 250 and the stormwater people right along.
So you got an amended state stormwater permit?
We're working on it. That's exactly what we're doing.
Okay.
They told me when I was pushing the thing around, Ryan McCall said, John, when you're gonna do little changes like that, get them done, get them plotted out, and get us up here to do an amendment.
Okay.
So, but it turns out it doesn't matter because we have to start over Now we're putting these 4 up top here, we have to start all over and give them an as-built and where it's going from there. So anything we did different has got to be now put into the new one that you guys are trying to approve tonight. You see what I mean?
Yeah. You gonna put any landscaping in?
Yeah, we have a lot to put in. We got some to put in here. We've put trees here. We put all these big gardens here in, which were not even on the plan, but that's all coming. We gotta get the buildings done first, get people in there. By the spring, I'd say, it'll be 100%. It may not look quite as landscaped now as it really is. These are all beautiful yards. These are all trees. I mean, there's $75,000 worth of landscaping in there already. But we're gonna keep going. We gotta make it beautiful.
Are you gonna be putting lighting on Magnolia or Dogwood?
Yeah, we got it right here. We got it right here.
Oh, okay.
It's a luminaire schedule right here. See, we got great lighting up there. I don't know if you've snuck in there at night, but it's really cool. You should check it out. You come up here, and these are the street lamps that are on. They're really mellow, but they light up well. But then there's decorative lighting all around here. It comes on for a certain amount of time, goes off, and comes back on in the morning. But they're like the little New York decorative street lights. They look really nice. Some of those are going to be used up around here, right in here, and up in here probably the road lights. They've already done it. I'm not sure what they're calling for.
Are there any conduits towards the public parking for visitors who might have electric cars?
Not yet, but we could do it. There's future conduits in the ground. Somebody actually mentioned that to me today, not that was coming in there, but they said, hey, you know what, there are a lot of people asking about these electric car things. Hey, somebody got one and we need to do it, we'll do it.
Are the Magnolia Drive units within 50 feet of your perimeter?
No.
Okay. Are you gonna get some kind of sidewalk up there to the houses on Magnolia?
I'm not sure on that one. I don't know. I probably could put one in if they're paved, they're not that hard to do.
Is that fairly steep? I can't remember.
No, it's only 8% from up here. It might be 9%, but it's not, 8% is the entrance road. I think we might have hit 9 on Magnolia, but it's still walkable. I don't know how much those people are gonna wanna walk down that hill, but I think they could walk right down the road, actually. There's no traffic there, really.
And how wide is the road?
18 feet. Well, the main roads are 20. That one's probably a 20-footer. I bet you that one's a 20-footer. I'd have to measure it, but the main entrance road is 20. The circular road is 18. But I'm not sure if Magnolia Drive is 20 or 18. It wasn't required. And you can pass at 18. The town actually in the beginning asked me not to make them too wide because if people go around there too fast. And the Brattleboro Public Works worked with me on the plan because they assumed they may have to take it over someday if we ever wanted to sell these or do something. Or if something went horribly wrong, we might have had to sell it back turn it back over to the town.
How different are the structures going to be from what you've already built?
Almost identical to the eye, they'll look the same.
Ranch, single story?
Yeah. And actually, the way we're gonna set up, you won't see any of those from down low, and from up above, you won't see any of the people down there, because the same as the whole thing is, they're gonna sit down, and then there's a berm. And then on top of the berm will be shrubs and grass, and nobody can see anybody. It's pretty neat.
What'll be the most significant difference, just in appearance, of the new units compared to the old units?
Nothing. To the average person, they would think they're the exact same building. But they'll probably be a little more glass, because they got such a better view. They're a little skinnier and longer, but it's only because we put the garage on the end. These include a garage, these boxes up here.
Okay.
They're almost, otherwise, they're pretty darn close to the same.
If you don't have a sidewalk, can you put some signage on the road?
Yep,
You know, watch out for people who are coming up
Absolutely.
the road, pedestrians.
good idea.
So, do you expect people to drive to the pool house?
I think they'll walk, they'll walk, there's gonna be one parking spot for a handicap or two down there. But I would say from their house they'll walk, it's not as far as it might look. And it's pretty flat up there, so they'll probably all walk.
So even the people from the new houses will probably walk down?
Yeah, I would think so. If they're going down to swim at the pool, I would imagine they could go down to the community center park and walk over if they wanted to.
You comfortable submitting a landscaping plan to Brian?
I got one of you guys tonight.
Oh, that's right, that's
Yeah,
right.
For both projects. And that one was done, this one right here is done by Newfane Greenhouse, who worked on the original. So here's your 7 different plantings.
Right.
This is all for the new, see the magnolias coming up?
Yeah.
And then these are, I don't know what else he's done there. These are dogwoods.
And there's nothing on the south side of the buildings because that's where the berm is?
You mean right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the berm.
Okay.
That's a cliff too. It's where
Right.
we blasted out the ledge, so it'll be just a grassy berm up there.
Okay.
We made, I imagine it'll be daffodils and perennials all through it, you know. I'm sure we're gonna really doll this thing up. We have a habit of doing that.
Day lilies
Yeah,
along there?
yeah. Be beautiful, wouldn't they? Yeah, we planted a few hundred bulbs this year, but we're gonna put thousands of bulbs in.
Do you have any word from Public Works on your new section road?
They inspected it, they came up, looked at it when we were building it, and we used the same specs. And the fire department has been up with their trucks, and we asked them about, we visited them, and they said that they don't see any problem with it. If we need to get a letter, we could. They may have even given you one, I don't know.
They didn't respond to the request for the planning department. You'd be content to condition this on their approval though?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Actually, we're putting in a new fire hydrant in there too, for them up top. I want them to approve it anyways, but, right here is another fire hydrant.
Right.
So now we have one there.
I was talking about DPW approving it, Public Works.
Oh, as far as what?
The road construction, the drainage, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, they're not the ones that have to answer it, it's Act 250.
Oh, okay.
The town doesn't care about that. If Act 250 says the drains will work, they'll work. It's
Okay.
not. The only thing the town wanted to know was that we were putting a base, deep enough base, 18 inches of rock and 6 inches of one crushed rock.
As long
Because
as-
if they ever take the road over, they don't want
Yeah,
to fix it.
yeah. As long as they're happy, that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, no, they come up all the time. Skip comes up all the time. Every one of these is hooked up to town water and sewer.
Right.
Actually, Skip helped us with something just recently. I can't remember what it was, but.
Okay. Because this is Act 250, we have a couple of criterions we have to review.
Right.
And sometimes these are a little silly because they don't apply, but
Yeah.
can you comment on whether this will create a burden on the ability of the municipality to provide educational services?
It won't at all. It's
Everybody's-
absolutely zero.
Everybody's 55 and older.
Yep.
Can you comment on whether it will cause an unreasonable burden on the ability of the town to provide municipal or governmental services?
No, not at all. It won't change anything.
Not going to affect the sewers or the water or anything like that?
No,
to
all that
anybody
was
else?
passed earlier, and it's a huge sewer system up there and huge water system.
Okay. And that it conforms with the town plan?
Yeah, it does. It's actually what they want. They want consolidated living. That's what they want, these pocket neighborhoods.
Clusters?
Clusters, there you go, yeah. I mean, There you go.
I've heard that word a couple of times. Now, you're also okay having approval from the fire department via condition?
Yeah, that's what I thought you were talking about. They already
Yeah.
did approve it verbally,
Yeah.
but if we want to get a letter, they said they'll check it out when they come out.
That's fine.
There's a big hammerhead up at the top where they can turn around,
Yeah.
and it's SIT, but we have a 50-foot usage of it right away, all the way back to the thing, so they got plenty of room to turn the machines around up there.
Okay. I'm just going to note, in addition to what you said, the planning department supplied us with comments indicating that the project complies with the town plan because it increases the supply of housing opportunities for residents of all incomes, age groups, and special needs, and that it directs new residential development to areas where services are readily available, efficient and cost-effective development is most likely.
That's perfect.
So that covers all of my questions. Do members of the board have some questions or comments?
I'm good.
You okay, Joe?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay. So could I have a motion to approve application 2015-205 with the conditions that the applicant get their amended state stormwater permit, that there be pedestrian signage if the applicant does not build a sidewalk up Magnolia Drive, that the applicant receive approval from the Department of Public Works on the construction of the road, Magnolia Drive, and department approval from the fire department on the construction of the residential units, roads, the fire hydrants, whatever else they're concerned about.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Have a nice night. Okay, I'm sorry to have gotten your hopes up 20 minutes ago, but it's application 2015-220, Delta Epsilon. Mr. Bucci is going to take over for me. And Joe, can you close out the meeting when you're done? It's the last application, I don't want to hang out in the hall. Okay. So Joe will be chairing this application.
Okay, my name is Robin Johnson, and I think we're discussing interior construction in the former All Souls Church, 210 Main Street, that was formerly production for Omega Optical. And the idea is to take the basement area and create a cafe space and laundromat, and there's also a few additional bathroom for the upstairs as well. So that's
Which one's 210?
210. It's right across from the post office and TD Bank, Stone Church.
The Stone Church, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So everything will be confined to the basement? All that use, the cafe and the laundromat?
Yes, yes. The upstairs will remain as it is. It's a kind of
Performance venue?
Performance venue, yeah. But we would add an ADA bathroom to the upstairs and probably replace the floor.
Where are the accesses to that basement?
So this is one issue that I think we have to deal with at a later date because it's a historic building.
Right.
So what we want to do is add an entry from Grove Street at street level that would be ADA accessible. But
So it'd walk in essentially sidewalk to floor?
yeah, whether you have to slope up slightly and slope down slightly just because of drainage.
Right, right.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
think we have
kind
to-
of, that's kind of the level that the
Yeah,
basement's
yeah.
at, right?
Mhm,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
what I thought, yeah. So is that what's in the drawings here?
Let's see which one.
This right, is that what this one is meant to reflect?
Yes, exactly.
Right, and then this is essentially the reincarnation of the spire.
Right, yeah, just to keep it to like a permanent home. Yeah,
Gotcha. Right. Not far from its temporary one, right?
Yes, but also more secure.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And hopefully more aesthetically pleasing.
Right.
this is the one that shows close?
Yes, though we do have to we have to talk to the Historical Society before this is the exterior entrance.
Yeah, there's going to be a design committee formed
Right.
if the new land use regulations are passed, and it's probably going to be 3 people with experience doing historic design review, and basically just be a conversation about what your plan is, and they'll be looking to see that it conforms to the normal historic.
Yeah, exactly.
guidelines.
We have all the stone left over from when the spire was struck by lightning years ago, so we constructed the same stone, used some granite coins to match the rest of the building, slate to match, so it would be designed to look like the rest of the building.
Is there a second egress there now?
Right now, there's just one from there's the alleyway between the parish house and
Okay.
the church. So that's the only entrance to the basement now. That's why we want to have like a more
Yeah,
publicly
they're gonna want
accessible
that.
one, yeah. Yeah, then the idea that would be just basically a service entrance.
Which will, the rear, what's now to the alley, that'll be a service
Yeah,
entrance?
exactly.
So then will that leave you with essentially one sole entrance in and out
Well,
for
there's, that would be.
cafe and laundromat?
There'd be two entry, two exits entrance, but one would be like the main, and the other one would be generally used for service, but would be accessible. And I did talk to Brian Johnson a while ago.
Gotcha.
And kind of
Okay.
went over having enough entry
Requirements.
exits, Yeah.
Yeah.
So the main entrance will be right on street level.
Yes, yes.
Grove,
Grove Street.
right, gotcha. What kind of hours do you expect that cafe and laundromat to?
So I'd be looking at like 7 or 8 in the morning till probably about 10, 11 at the latest. Sometimes you have performances or something's going on upstairs, and our current plan with the ADA accessibility to the upstairs would be a lift coming from there. So we wouldn't want to be closing off our ADA exit entrance prematurely if you have people that are still in the
So
upstairs.
that's the ADA entrance, the Grove Street side entrance.
Right.
No
Yeah.
ADA now upstairs.
There's nothing now. Yeah, we looked at actually doing a ramp coming
Wrapping
from
around the building?
coming from the front, but it's such a long, like when you're coming from street level up to the entryway of the main hall, it's very difficult to get that much ramp, and you have to go
It's an inch a foot, right?
inch a foot, and every
Right, so you'd have a
every
pretty
30
long
feet.
ramp.
After 30 feet, you need 5 feet of flat.
Right.
So it's we were able to do it in a plan, but it made a it was a lot
You
of
have to go around.
yeah. You've got to do this.
Before you know it, they'd be wanting to make a skate park out of that ramp.
Right.
We can't have that now.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Then we never get it.
So we would, if we were to approve a portion of his application, we can only approve a portion of it because part of that consideration has to be continued to the design review committee meeting that is tentatively scheduled to not only exist, but be scheduled and occur subsequent to the final approval and warning of the yet to be revised again new zoning ordinance. Is that
Yep,
right?
that's right.
Clear.
Yep.
To get all that.
Repeat that, Joe.
Does anyone else, do you guys have any more questions?
How big is that area?
It's 2,700 square feet. The basement.
And are you almost dividing it in half, or?
Yeah, pretty much. A
Between the
little
two?
of it's, well, it's about maybe half cafe, and then there's also going to be, there's the laundry space and a bit of work area too for laundry attendants, because we want to do wash, dry, fold. So a section of, probably it's the northwest corner, will be just for employees. Southwest corner, laundry, and then like the, I guess the eastern side. The eastern half will be all cafe.
So, oh, I see. Those are tables.
Yeah.
How many seat cafe are you?
I think I said 40 in there. I don't know if that might be a little high for what the seating is. It might end up being about 30.
Brian will tell you.
Yeah.
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 Did it talk about a sign?
Yes, is that included in there? So there would be.
Something about a sign, right? Is
yeah.
that what these drawings are?
Yeah, they're very basic, basic idea. Yeah. So this is. Yeah.
And this logo?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the idea would be in the front entryway, the Main Street side, very subtle, just metal lettering. They would clear off the ivy, but then the ivy would probably grow back. So it'd be.
And when you say the front, you're talking about Main Street side?
This is the Main Street side, so
Yeah,
walking
gotcha.
up the main stairs.
Yeah.
The idea there would be, it almost, that signage would almost disappear in the ivy, and you would really not notice it if you didn't see it. And the other side, the Grove Street entrance would have this, this other signage.
The round one?
And I think it's about 3 feet in diameter, I said, and like low LED lighting, nothing
Gotcha.
obtrusive.
So that's the wall sign, the one around on the Grove Street side?
Right, yeah.
Right.
I think technically they'd both be considered wall signs because they'd be on the same, they'd be attached to the building.
The text here talks about installing a wall sign. Is it actually two?
Yeah, it
Two
would be
different
two,
ones?
it'd be two.
I noticed in the comments that there's a question about, something about discourage use of scented products.
Oh, this is
What is that referring to? Is that like dryer sheets or something like that, or
No, it's
is
funny.
that
I
in
mean,
anticipation of legislative changes in the upcoming session?
No, one of the criteria for site plan is odors.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah, well, I mean, we're kind of
kind of
focusing
odors?
on being be a very eco-friendly laundromat, so we'd only provide environmentally friendly and could be unscented detergents and products,
Really?
chemicals, yeah.
Which you will sell there?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Is that what they're referring to?
it's just one of the criteria, Joe. and-
Yeah, so I mean, imagine,
I've never seen a
Where the
reference
boundary
to
line
scented
goes,
products
you know?
before, so.
yeah, I mean, when you have, laundry, like dryer exhaust, I imagine that's what they're talking about.
Right,
That, like if you walk by a laundromat, you're gonna smell that kind of bounce or whatever it is.
Well, actually, at times, I think it would probably be pretty hard to detect those scented products, what with the overwhelming scented products coming from the septic plant in town.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's what they meant, I'm not sure.
We would try to avoid those scented products.
Yeah. Brian, were there any other questions?
You won't be doing any sale of alcoholic beverages or?
No, we'd be applying for alcohol license. So you want coffee, tea, and beer and wine.
Okay.
So not looking for the full liquor license, but the beer and wine license. Yeah.
Okay. It's just a separate zoning classification between cafe and then bar.
Whether
So
it's a restaurant.
the board should just make a finding so that'll be allowed.
And do we need to, are there any conditions on the hours of the performance venue?
I think it's just by the zoning and like the.
Do you know, are there any time restrictions existing? And if so, do we need to mirror those, or is there any
I don't know.
need to set
Liquor
any?
license, the select board will take care of that.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Anything else? Any questions?
I'm still trying to get this straight in my head. When you come into the basement, if you go straight ahead, that's where the lift is.
Yes. Yeah.
And then if you want to get to the laundromat, you go through the middle of the cafeteria?
Well, the cafe and the laundromat
Cafe.
are connected. So you'd walk in, and if you took a left, you'd enter the cafe, and if you walked straight through that, that's the laundry area. So the first thing you would come to would be the cafe.
So I wonder if are there any issues with beer and wine and taking kids through there, I guess? If it's being consumed,
No.
I know like a grocery store there wouldn't be.
No. No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Like I said, I mean, if the liquor inspector would be a
Right.
problem.
Yeah,
But I've
yeah.
never known anybody that, not in this state anyway.
Is there any issue with bringing laundry through a place where food's being served?
That was going through my head.
Dirty
Yeah, I don't
laundry?
know about that, yeah.
I used to go to a place in Burlington, there was a restaurant on one side and the laundromat was on the other. Best deal in the world.
Yeah, yeah, I mean,
It's a nice setup.
I think the idea is to have, kind of consolidate the business to provide more services in one place. So,
Yeah, no, I think it's
Yeah.
a nice idea. I just wondered whether
Yeah, not
people
that
were
I-
carrying their dirty laundry
Yeah.
through, and I'm eating lunch, you know.
Can I ask, it's a little confusing to me anyway, looking at the drawings here, this scale drawing that looks like exterior elevations that shows the fountain and the side entrance. So this is Grove Street?
Yes.
This is Main Street, this is the front entrance right here, and this is kind of on the corner close to where it is now.
Right.
Looking at that scale looks like that entrance, I assume this is the proposed Grove Street entrance. That looks really close to the front of the building, almost at the front of the building. Yet in these drawings here, like if I'm looking at that one, assuming that's the same setup I saw there, and that this is another view of it, that side entrance looks to be way to the rear.
This is where the side entrance is, yeah.
Okay,
So
not
this-
here as
yeah.
it's drawn. So
No,
actually,
this is-
this whole thing is a flip then,
No,
is
no,
that
no,
right?
This is, yeah, this is underneath, so the building's like a cross, the
Yeah.
way it's designed. And so this is the main street side, so this is where the entrance would be.
So
this
that
one-
entrance is gonna come into the food
Right.
section first,
right
right?
here, yeah.
Okay, so this roughly somewhere in there is where the entrance?
Right there. That's.
Oh, this part here?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
one,
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
This is right-
So that is, this one drawn in here, right? Okay, that is where this access is right there. And that is just part of the floor plan of the lower part of the
Right,
building.
yeah,
Gotcha.
this is bathrooms for this.
So this is one entrance right here. This is, well, I assume, a staircase from interior staircase from
Interior
upstairs.
staircase.
And is this the access to the rear alley one?
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
That's
Gotcha. What are those cubicles down there?
Bathrooms,
Yeah.
and then
Gotcha.
there's the power supply.
Okay.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I think the other drawing's a little bigger.
This one right here.
See fixtures and stuff, so.
building is right there, and then there's parking back.
What is this in here?
This is solid stone, that's underneath the bell tower.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Base.
So is there like a kitchen area or something that's gonna be, or are you just like
Just, it's
counter
gonna be light-
service?
Just gonna be light fare counter service, yeah,
Yeah.
no full kitchen.
Yeah. Is this intended to serve serve the venue upstairs?
What we would probably do upstairs is when there's, because most of the activity up there right now is currently renters. People rent it for the show, so we would probably cater to the upstairs as far as like drinks. but
Offer
no
a
food.
package or
But no
something?
food, yeah. No plan for food upstairs at all.
So if people were upstairs and there's an intermission, they could come down.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't, like, assuming you're buying a ticket, you could just walk without a ticket and go up there, but, the idea, I don't think people would generally go downstairs during the event, but a lot of times, there's like dance classes or something, and people might come there after they're done, they have another place.
What happens now? Do people bring, I mean, is there alcohol involved down there now when there's an event upstairs?
No, right now, there's nothing down there. Yeah. So, and with the events upstairs, people will bring in an outside caterer if they want alcohol. And then aside from that, there's no alcohol.
So there's nothing in the basement, happening in the basement at all?
No, it was formerly production for Omega Optical.
Is it sprinkled?
It's not currently sprinkled, no.
Nothing in the building is, right?
Yeah, it's all, I think the assembly upstairs is grandfathered in, is current use.
Not too many historical buildings sprinkled, right?
No.
Fire department saying?
Yeah, good.
I didn't see a memo, I didn't see any comments from the fire department on that memo, did you?
I don't think there was any concerns.
Wasn't any.
No.
No. I mean, the occupancy down there is below, I don't know how they would consider the whole building, but the occupancy is below the number down there.
No, I was thinking about putting dryers down there, whether that's a fire issue.
I guess Brian will
Yeah.
tell you what to do there.
Yeah, maybe we can condition that you consult the
Oh,
fire
definitely.
department
Yeah, yeah.
about that.
That's probably already in there anyway.
Is that in there already?
To get your permit, you have to, Brian.
Yeah,
Oh, to get the permit.
Yeah.
Okay.
It says here that renovation would be subject to the new commercial building energy standards. You probably wrote those, right? You comply with that, right?
Yes, I got it.
Any renewable energy?
We'd like to. We'd like to do some rainwater capture and also reuse as much water as we can to try to like make it as efficient as possible.
Right.
Um,
Did I see the spire is gonna be in a fountain?
Yeah, it might be a fountain. We might end up doing, might be sand instead. It depends. You know, the fountain, you get algae, sand, you get cigarette butts. So it's trying to figure out
Right.
what'll be the
I don't know if
easiest.
that fountain was gonna be part of the rainwater capture or something like that.
Oh, it could be, yeah. And he's got a great idea to put a misting up on the along the peak of the roof, so there's always a rainbow.
There you go. Sweet, there you go.
We'll see that.
With gray water, right?
Yes. Yeah. Unscented gray water.
Let's see. Well, then I guess we'd be looking for a motion to approve 2015-220 by Delta Epsilon. Site plan approval to change use of the basement to a cafe and laundromat at 210 Main Street with the following conditions and safeguards as listed in here. Did you get a copy of this draft decision? State permits are required. Certificate of occupancy as provided shall be received from Brian prior to occupation and use. Applicant shall consult Efficiency Vermont, subject to the Commercial Energy Code. And do we need to make a condition about that going to the design committee? How should we reflect that?
Well, I think this decision only describes the internal changes, so
ours is gonna be separate of theirs, correct? Ours will be separate, a separate decision of the design committee, correct?
yep.
But do we need to make any note of that in our decision? No.
We could, John.
Yeah, well, and that the design changes will be reviewed by the future design review committee. Does anyone want to make that motion?
Second.
Motion seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Good luck, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Come to the cafe.
Any administrative matters or new business?
No.
I'm going to be adjourned.
So
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.